If we compared cars to watches, a Tesla Model S Plaid would, I'd say, be like an Apple iWatch. Amazing, beautiful, minimalist design, packed with technology, can do things that no other watches can do. But talking about this Nissan GT-R with its hand-assembled engine and transmission, I would compare this more to like a Rolex Submariner. Precision engineering, hand-built, a symphony of mechanical parts all put together, assembling in a magnificent machine. A true supercar indeed. With 485 horsepower, this thing offers supercar performance and looks. It's 2026, but back in 2011 when this GT-R was brand new, this was setting the world on fire. The Nürburgring in Germany, where they take some of the fastest, most highest performance versions of vehicles, Porsches, more recently the Mustang GT. That's where all the major car manufacturers benchmark their fastest, most technologically advanced vehicles. And back in the day, the GT-R set some lap records. At the time, one of the fastest vehicles on the Nürburgring of its type ever tested. And obviously today, we all know a Tesla Model S Plaid is a lot faster than this GT-R. It makes more than twice the horsepower, but that's not all about cars. Don't get me wrong, I love Teslas. I have a Model 3, I have a Nissan Leaf, but guess what? I don't just work at Ford. I work at Ford now, but I spent over 20 years at Infiniti and Nissan, so I'm a big fan of the product. And a little bit sad that it's not quite the same product line as when I started working for Nissan and Infiniti brands 20 years ago. In fact, the GT-R has a lot in common with the Infiniti brands. The Tesla all-wheel drive system that they use in this, a Tesla ETS, which stands for Advanced Total Traction Engineering System, with electric torque split, is an amazing all-wheel drive system. It has an electromagnetic differential that can activate power in milliseconds, front to back, left to right. It's light and it's absolutely amazing. And if you're a car enthusiast, you're probably familiar with the Infiniti FX35, FX45, FX50, QX70, G35, G37, Q50, QX50, EX35. All versions of those vehicles at one point were offered with the same Tesla all-wheel drive system that we found in the R32 Skyline. In fact, the Skyline is not just one vehicle. In fact, the Skyline is a whole model line of vehicles. And many of the Infiniti products that are badged Infiniti in the United States were sold in Japan as like the Infiniti Skyline Coupe or Skyline Crossover. But sitting on top of that Skyline pyramid was the range-topping flagship GT-R, which we have right here. And obviously we can see design influences, especially in the rear, going back to many legendary Skylines that we all love. I think one of my favorites, looks-wise, is the R34, and I was lucky enough to actually go to Japan and see those driving around Tokyo at night with those neon lights in the background. Honestly, it gave me goosebumps. And the one thing about the Skyline, especially if you park it, like, for instance, next to a Porsche 911, you realize this is not a little vehicle. It's big, it's comfortable, but despite all its mass, it is extremely fast. Endless amounts of grip. You have gigantic, track-worthy brakes, Brembo brakes, providing you high-performance stopping power on the track for many fade-free laps. There might be a little bit desired in the rear seat space, but okay for kids. The front seats are a different story, very comfortable. This is actually one of the first all-wheel drive production vehicles also to have a rear-mounted transaxle. The Nissan engineers went to very great lengths to give this thing as perfect 50-50 weight distribution as possible. Of course, they definitely achieved that goal by its remarkable performance numbers. Nice little touches, GT-R. We can see here that in the VIN number, this begins with a J. Most Nissans these days are built in the United States, but this one was built in Japan. Pretty much all the special high-performance Nissans like the Z, of course the GT-R, are made in Japan. Very comfortable supportive seats that will hold you in place during performance driving. Nice down-to-business interior. Premium suede cloth and leather trim seats. We have leather and stitching in the door, on the dashboard. The contoured steering wheel feels wonderful in your hands. You have steering wheel paddle shifters so you can take control of the 6 forward gears. This has a tad under 50,000 miles. We recently took this on trade for a Lexus all-wheel drive sedan. Obviously, the previous owner had his fun with it and ready for something different. We have power folding mirrors. We have a drive mode selector. That looks like that's for the all-wheel drive system. There's like racing mode, snow mode, suspension, traction control. The AC blows nice and cold. Then we have this multi-function display that kind of reminds me of like the display you'd find like in Gran Turismo on a PlayStation, so you can pull up different performance gauges and stuff for an almost endless amount of information. And this is something that we found in previous generation GT-Rs. Unfortunately for us in the United States, this is the only GT-R that we know, aside from gray market ones, but the rest of the world, specifically Japan, had many amazing versions of the GT-R. They're all very nice, all beautiful, all fantastic. Of course, we have a navigation system. It's a little bit of an older system, but definitely functional. Rear parking camera, wonderful sounding Bose sound system. And there's that hand-built 3.8 liter twin turbo V6, pumping out 485 horsepower for mind-boggling acceleration. This thing just has endless amounts of power. It'll bring a smile ear to ear. You have a Japanese build quality and precision. And this is a legitimate supercar. But unlike a Ferrari or Lamborghini, generally it's a little bit more of an accessible price point. It might not have the same cachet as an Italian sports car, but these things are very much loved by lots of people. Go to a Cars and Coffee and you'll get lots of looks and compliments, lots of people asking you questions. Drive down Alki Beach on a nice day, you'll get lots of thumbs ups and approving waves and shouts when you're driving a vehicle like this. This has legendary status among many car enthusiasts, and even the younger generation, they know what this thing's all about. Well, thanks so much for taking the time today to watch this video. My name is Joe. We're Scarff Ford and Isuzu. We've been in business since 1922. We sell new Fords and new Isuzus and a very wide variety of premium vehicles. If you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.